Hi folks, this is just a quick video. It's another Gramdeck controller. It sounds a bit rattly, this, it's got a few bits in the case I don't want to lose. I was given this by, I was sent it by Leather and Rub, we'll call him. I think that's his name, Philip from YouTube. The Gramdeck fella, as I call him, and because he does know quite a bit of history about the Gramdeck and its operation as well. Anyway, he was in need of a controller because the controllers, including this one that he had, didn't record, and I had two, so that do record. So I thought, well, you know, I'll donate one. Being the kind of guy I am, so I got one sorted out for him, and conversed with him, got his address and stuff, and sent it out to him. And I didn't expect anything back anyway. He sent me this along with a couple of battery snaps, which I've actually soldered two of them to this. Two brand new, never used transistors. I've never had solder on those. They're brand new. I've left them in there so I don't lose them. And something I really needed that he actually sent me was this fella. And that, believe it or not, and that is a brand new pressure pad for the Gramdeck, because mine's knackered, so we'll get that on there in a bit. And he sent me that, and he obviously sent me this as well. But let's just pull this wire out of here. Pull these wires out of here, and I can explain it, I can talk about it better. I've not got this impeding me then. Right, so we'll put that in the back there, we don't need the box. Right, the issues this had were pretty much the same issues that mine had. Generally capacitors, resistors, anyway, but the main problem we had, if I can zoom in, and show you what had happened with this one. The bias coil had been damaged. And we'll just find me sticker upper, or my pointer atta. The bias coil, as you can see there, and there, you can see where it's actually broken and you can't bolt it on. So what I did, I basically made a new substrate for it, drilled a couple of holes in, and mounted it. So just really super glued it into place, and reattached all the wires. So now this Gramdeck controller does actually work. And it works correctly. You know, it's the board's a bit grubby, but you know, saying that, it's old as well. And I had to do a bit of wiring. I had to do a bit of rewiring. I had to replace the black wire with this black wire here. I used very thin. I used very thin tone arm wire, as you can probably see. They're very thin wire, and the yellow wire, that was okay. The blue wire I had to resolder together because I snapped that, and oh, this is where I had to join the black, where this this where this piece of yellow heat shrink is here, just there. That's where I rejoined the black. But and I also had to service the switch as well, because the click part of it didn't really work properly. It's still a bit not right now, but it's better than it was. And this is all done now. Apart from I've got to just slightly extend the battery wires, because the battery wires are not quite long enough. But what I'll do, I'll connect it to the battery. We've got our rechargeable PP9 here. Until the cabinet, until the casing, until the box falls to bits. Now, what I've done here, what I'll do here now, I've got this guitar amp, this old guitar amp. I use this for testing because I've actually got a homemade. Let's go back out. There we go. Because I've got a homemade probe for it, a signal tracer probe. And the problem I just stuck it in my finger because I sharpened it the other day. Just make sure these are not shorting. When I actually made the substrate for the to remount the bias coil, I used metal. I used not metal. I used a piece of Vera board, but copper clad. With copper, and I didn't scrape the copper off. And one of the contacts on the switch here was shorting out to it and killing the input. Took me about get in. It took me about scraps in. Right, get in. Anyway, that's my dog disciplined. I don't like shouting at him, but you know, when you tell him to do something he doesn't, you have to. So what I'll do now, I'll put that under there because we're connected. I'll put it under the case, under the handle. Right, now we're on. Signal generator. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to put 10 volts into that. Let's turn it down. Oh. Right, we'll put 1 volt in to start with. Right, so I'll click that to there, just so it doesn't short, and I'll click that to there. Now what I'll do, turn the amp up, nothing, switch it on. Right, give it a bit more. I hate being left-handed. Oh, hang on, let's change. I forgot to change. Oh. There we go. Right. Right, that's 1 volt. That's 1 volt going into The that's 1 volt going into the record, going into the playback record head socket, and it is working. There we go. Now if we go to record, nothing. Well, there's a little bit, but not as you'd notice. Now, if I connect to the turn it back off, if I connect to the microphone socket, swap the wires round. I do this just so I don't short and I don't get a signal and start looking round then, because the grounds on these sockets are connected together obviously. So now go to microphone record, and that's microphone record at 1 volt. So we know the microphone record works. Still getting a bit through there, but that's not a problem. That's the microphone record. Turn that off. Now get the record wire for radio record, as they call it. Alright, turn it up a bit because this is designed to work off the extension speaker. And that's as much as I can get out of it. And that's radio record. We're getting bleed over through there because I'm putting 20 volts in. But that's your radio record. And I haven't tested it on the Gramdeck yet, but saying that, I haven't felt the need because the unit, as I say, does work. And I'm becoming a bit of a, what do you call it on this now? I'm becoming a bit of an expert, I think, on the Gramdeck. And considering a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know that how much juice left in my battery. Considering a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know the damn things existed. I'd never even heard of them till I came across Philip's videos. And I started watching them, and I discovered that, well, 9.3 volts, still plenty in that. Anyway, and I discovered it through his videos because I'd never even heard of it. But and you know, I'm becoming quite a bit of an expert in it now. You know, in how it works, and you know. I mean, to repair them, I mean, they're not rocket, in all honesty, folks, you know, I've put these new wires in, but in all honesty, they're not rocket science to repair these things. I mean, they're, you know, they're a pretty simple circuit. You know, they're a simple circuit, and I will do another one of me. I just can't find my microphone. That's why I use the signal generator. Because I did want to actually get the Gramdeck out and record something on it properly, but as far as I'm concerned, the signal generator is good enough to tell me that the controller is actually working. And in all honesty, folks, I'm happy with that. With the results I've got from it, and you know, and I'm waiting for Phil to. I'm actually waiting for Phil to. These are the capacitors out of the Gramdeck controller, or 4 of them. I can't find the 5th one. It should be on here somewhere because I took them all out on here, and I've not thrown anything away yet. I've not cleaned the bench for a couple of days. and I've not thrown anything away yet, so it's got to be on here. I just can't. It's a little small one, little small electrolytic. I can't find it, but let me just because the battery's going down, so let me just unplug that there, plug that into there, and whoa, just pull you down a minute, and plug you into there, plug that in, there we go, pull the tripod back out, and you see, because at the end of the day, you know, it you know, but yeah, I am, you know, it has to be said, I am becoming a little bit of an expert on this thing now. Let's just get me tested, me tool, because I want to test. I'm not minded about testing them 2 transistors that Phil sent me. I'm pretty confident they're okay because they've never been used. So I'm pretty confident they're okay. So I'm not going to test those. So I've only got the tester down. I hope I've got the right tester down. Here we go. The Peak Atlas. I use the Peak Atlas tester. Oh, hang on, let's put the camera straight. There we go. I've got this one here for this analyzer. This is an analyzer for analysing various components like inductors, capacitors, resistors, that kind of idea. But this one does ESR, so this is the one we're going to use. So, you know, and I actually bought these electronics. They're not far from me. They're in Buxton, a couple of miles away. That's in the United Kingdom. If you're in the US, they're a bit further. Right, so we'll turn it on, see what it tests as. 33.94 microfarad and 0.64 ohms. I could have probably left that in, but it's 25 microfarad, so it's gone up in value. So you don't know how it's going to react when it's under load, so it was changed. They were all changed because it saves me going back to them. And that one's 38.16 microfarad at and the ESR is 0.76 ohms. So, you know, it's they're out of spec. You know, they're out of spec in an upwards direction, but they're still out of spec, so at the end of the day. And that one's 53.66 microfarad and a 1.8 ohms. So that one's pretty bad. So, and it's only 25 microfarad. All these I'm testing are 25 microfarad, and they all seem to be a bit fucked. And that one's 48.26, and it's one, and the ESR is 1.6 ohms. So, you know, that's that pretty much concurs that they're knackered. As you know, they're generally fucked. But I don't know where the little I think it's a 4 microfarad it has in it, but I replaced it with it's either a 4 or a 2. Somewhat daft like that, but I replaced it with a 4.7 mic, and that should suffice. Well, the other controllers I've done them exactly the same way. I've repaired them exactly the same way, and they've all seemed to work. Where's me coffee? Let's get me coffee. They all seem to work okay, doing what I've done, so. But I have tested, the last 2 are dead. I did test beforehand and then tested afterwards to see if there was any difference, and there obviously was a difference, because the original Gramdeck controller I purchased with the Gramdeck, the one I received with my Gramdeck mechanism, that sounded like pure shit when I first used it. But after I changed those capacitors, I also replaced a 10k resistor, and I replaced 3 100k resistors, which were out of tolerance, and they were out of tolerance by quite a big margin as well. You know, they were pretty far out. In fact, I'll use the let's just move my coffee. What I'll do, I'll use the 2 I can find. I'll put them there. I don't know where the other one's gone. But let me just get my tester out, my yellow tester. I could do these on the meter. Oh, I can't use my yellow tester because I've lost one of the probes. Never mind, we'll do it with a meter. I forgot about that. I've lost one of the probes. It fell off. It's on the bench somewhere, but what I did, I lost it, and I found it, and then I put it in a safe place. And because I put it in a safe place, I lost it again. But it's in a safe place, so I will come across it. So never mind about that. Anyway, let's turn the meter back on and put the old giglets back on so I can see what I'm doing. I hate wearing glasses. They make me look like a dick. Anyway, this is a 100k. I don't know where the 10k one went. It might be under there actually. And that one, believe it or not, oh, and get it on, 130k. So it's actually 30. So it's actually, what would that be? Would that be 30 ohms? Something daft like that over 130k. No, it'd be 30,000 ohms, wouldn't it? No, it wouldn't. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. Yeah. Anyway, it's out of spec anyway, by quite a bit. And this one, that's reading 133k, and we've got this one, which I think is the 10k one, and that's reading 12.22k. So that came out. I mean, that could have probably stayed, but it was out of tolerance, so it came out. The others that are in there are okay. And this is the other and this is the other 130k, and look at this one, folks. This one's really down in value. This is reading 51 point. This is reading 51. Oh no, this is a 47, but it's reading. This is a 47 ohm. It's reading 51. 51 ohms. I got confused there. That's 51 ohms. I got confused. I thought it was 100k. It's not. Very, very similar though. Just the black and the brown ring are in a different position. Anyway, I got slightly confused there. But as I had to lift that anyway, to feed the cables underneath, to do a proper job and put the cables under it. As I had to lift it anyway, it seemed, appropriate to change it really. I thought, well, I may as well change it as I'm lifting it, so that's what I did. And that's another Gramdeck box yet to be tested on the Gramdeck. but I mean, as I say, that knob's still a bit wonky, but it's not as bad as it was. I mean, you can feel the click in it now, just, but it's not scratchy or crackly. It's all nice and smooth when you adjust it. So, and it does go onto the settings without any playing about. So, I'm happy with that. I mean, why not, eh? I mean, the thing's older than me, because they probably stopped making these things in the early 60s, because in 1962 Philips introduced their compact cassette, which was aimed at putting the reel-to-reel out of business. Certainly it put the Gramdeck out of business, because people no longer needed it because the compact cassette was cheaper. And but having said that, the compact cassette might have been cheaper, but I definitely think that the Gramdeck sounded better than the early compact cassettes, because cassettes didn't really start to sound good until about the mid-70s. I've got some from the early 70s, and they actually sound atrocious, and I wouldn't imagine they sounded much better when they were new. But you know, because obviously techniques improved. You know, techniques in recording them, and the machines improved, because the compact cassette was originally invented as a dictation machine. You know, the thought that anyone would ever want to play music on one of them things, you know, that wasn't even considered during its development. It was aimed to be an office tool, but obviously it broke out of it. But then again, the reel-to-reel was, and the wire recorder before it was. Most machines that are made for recording, right back to Edison's original phonograph, they were all aimed at office use, and you know, playing music on them was secondary until it was discovered that you could get acceptable results, and you know, the equipment buying public would actually buy it, or gadget buying public would actually buy it. But having said that, that's my opinion and my theory on it. You know, if I'm wrong, then yeah, leave it in the comments. Say, listen, you're wrong. You know, but in a nice way. And anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, and I've got another project on the go, and I'm gonna start shooting the video in a couple of minutes. So you'll probably get 2 videos from me today. You've got this one, and I've got a little Ferguson portable, which, as far as I know, it's working. I'm just going to talk about it, really. It's working as far as I know. Oh, pardon me. And you know, I'll tell you what, more than 2 sniffs of that and you're greedy. Anyway, I don't care, me. You get it all with me, folks, farts and all. I'm not bothered. If you watch my videos, then you know, it comes with all the optional extras. I don't edit my videos. I might pause now and again if I'm going to do something, because you don't want to see me sat. You don't want to see, you know, 5 or 10 minutes of footage with me not doing anything. So then I would pause it, and other than that, I don't edit my videos. What you see is what I do is what you get. If it's a mistake, it's in there. The only reason why I think most people edit their videos is to edit out the mistakes, and I mean, there are those that edit them because because it makes. I mean, admittedly, edited videos do look good. I mean, my favourite My favourite for editing, I think he does a really splendid job, is Tetmone. His videos are always nice and well presented, and entertaining and fun as well, because he does inject a little bit of humour into them, especially with the green puppets, with that green puppet at the end. You know, I like that when he puts that little segment, and you should put that in all of them, Tetmone. You should put it in all of them, because you know, that's it. You know, another guy who I like, I think, puts a lot of effort into his YouTube videos, and he's got three or four channels on the go, and that's Martin Butler, and he's got Retro Restore, Retro Hacks, and one just simply called the Martin Butler channel, I think it is. But give them a look. You know, Martin Butler dabbles in all sorts of things. He messes with lawnmowers, record players, cars, anything really, gardening, cookery. He did a series on school dinners. I'm still waiting for him to make another one. Just as long as he doesn't make that stuff that we used to call frog spawn. What was it, Sago pudding or something? What was it called? Was it Sago? Sago pudding or something? Ooh, it was horrible stuff. It looked like frog spawn. Yeah, I'm sure you remember it, folks. I'm waiting for him to do a spotted dick, because that was a favourite at school, wasn't it? You know, school dinners. It was a spotted, you know, it was an upside down steamed pudding in the shape of like a dome. And yeah, I remember it well. We used to get it with custard, a nice steamed sponge pudding with custard, with currants and stuff in it. Yeah, that's why they called it spotted dick. Would they get away with calling it spotted dick these days? Or would that be too PC? You know, would it be too political? Would it be unpolitically correct to call it spotted dick? I don't know. Anyway, folks, check out his channels. He's pretty good. And who else is? There's a few. I mean, if you sail through, you know, if you sail through all the shit that's on YouTube, and there is a lot of it, if you sail through all the crap, you know, eventually, you know, you will actually find a gem at the end of it. And there's a couple, you know, yeah, you know, there's a few arseholes on there as well. I'm not going to say who I think they are. I keep my opinions on that to myself, but there's a few arseholes on there. A few people on there I will watch their channels. You know, yeah, so anyway, folks, you lot have, you know, enjoy the video, and I'm going to stop rambling because I want to get on with the next one, and I've got to go and help somebody out in a bit as well. So I'm going to get on with looking at the Ferguson. The Ferguson, as far as I'm aware, it works, but we'll have a closer look at it. I didn't know, you know, but I'll get into that on that video. Thanks very much for watching, folks, and more to come later. Bye for now.